Hello everyone, my name is Kiran Rai and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to show you some interesting thing about JavaScript and its data type. So we know that in JavaScript there are mainly two types of data types. One is primitive and the second is non-primitive. So there is an interesting fact about primitive and non-primitive data types that we are going to learn today. So we know that primitive data types are stored in stack memory and non-primitive data types are stored in queue memory. But there is also various differences, but we are mainly going to focus in one thing, that is when we copy primitive and non-primitive data types into a variable, how it acts. So let me do for primitive first. Okay, let me assign a value, let x equal to 10. Here we have stored 10 into x. So here I have stored 10 into x, and we know that 10 is a number. So number is a primitive data types in JavaScript. So when we assigned x equal to 10, we have stored 10 into x. So it's simple, and let me do one thing, let me copy this variable x into y. So now if we console log both x and y, so we are getting 10 10. So it is quite predictable because we have stored 10 into x and we have copied x into y. So it is quite predictable and it is the correct output. So let me try to modify y for now. Okay, I have given y equal to 200. So if I console y now, we should get 200, and it's correct, we are getting 200. But what will be the output of x right now? Okay, I have done. So we are getting 10 only because we have not changed or modified the value of x. X contains 10 only, but after copying x, the value of x into y, we have only modified y. So why the value of x is not changing? Because in primitive type we are only copying the value and not the reference. What is a reference? A reference is simply we can consider it as an address. So if we copy the address to another variable and try to modify the content or data into it, then it's surely gonna change the data of the main variable. But here in primitive type, what happens is that we only copy the value and not the address. That's why we are getting the value of y equal to 200 and x equal to 10. But let me check if it is the same for non-primitive. So let me make one user, let me assign name Raju and age be 22. So here I have created one object which is a non-primitive data type in JavaScript. So let me console it. When we console this user, we get the same thing. It is correct, yeah. And now let me make another user, user1, and copy the value of user into it. So now when I try to console log user1, we should get the same value as of user. Yeah, we are getting the same value and it is correct because we are copying user. But the interesting thing is that if we change the value of user1, that is, let me change the name from Raju to Akash, and let me print or console user1. Let me delete this thing. Let me delete this thing. Okay, now what I have done, I have just changed the name. So we have modified user1, so it is obvious that the name in user1 object should change from Raju to Akash. So let me check once. Okay, Now when we console log user1, we get the name Akash and age 22. So it was obvious, but it is quite interesting that when we console log user, the main object, we are also getting name equal to Akash and age 22. Why the name of the user changed? Yeah, here comes the interesting fact, because in object we mainly store the reference and not the value. When we in user1, actually what it's happening under the hood is that under the hood the user is actually storing the reference or the address of the object and not the value. So when we copy user in user1, what happens is that user1 also gets the address. So in this way, this user and user1, this user and this particular user and this user1 are storing the reference or the address for the same object. So whenever we do any changes in user1, this user also get modified, because these two variables are pointing to the same reference, and this is the major difference between primitive and non-primitive data type. That's the reason why our user is getting changed. Instead, we have not modified the user. So this is basically the difference between how primitive and non-primitive data type works in in JavaScript. And there are various techniques with the help of which you can copy objects or non-primitive data types, so that if you change the other variable if you copy and change the other variable, the former or the main variable or the main object will not change. But we will discuss it in later videos. So that's all. I hope you guys understand how these things work, and if you like this video, keep supporting, do subscribe. Yeah, we're gonna see you in another video. Thank you so much, guys.